Hey there everyone, my name is Jakejames Lugo, and welcome to the channel, where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here. So you all know I love fighting games, so I figured, you know what, let's talk about a fighting game that hardly anybody really talks about. But quickly I discovered there was a reason why that was, so let's just dive into it. The King of Fighters is a series that always had a unique style. That's why it stands out from many different fighting games that we know. But this is one of those few times where the series took a wild swing and missed the ball. KOF Maximum Impact was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2004. It's a spin-off game from the canon King of Fighters games, and one of the few 3D fighting games made by SNK. The company tried to do 3D visuals with their 2D fighting games before on the original PlayStation, with Fatal Fury Wild Ambition and Samurai Shodown Warrior's Rage. Both had mixed results. Anyway, KOF Maximum Impact takes place about 2 years after the Nest saga in the KOF timeline. Funny thing is that this is a spin-off game, but also meant to be a continuation of both the Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting series. Weird, I know. A gang called Mistopheles is led by Duke, a guy who rises to power within Southtown. The gang hosts a fighting tournament with all of Southtown being the battleground, as some sort of big flex. The tournament lures in fighters from all over, including two brothers named Alba and Sori, who are on a quest for revenge against Duke. If all of that sounds a little random and unfocused, it's because it really is. The plot of this game takes place in an alternate timeline from the mainline series, so everything that happens is unimportant to the rest of the franchise. And to be honest, KOF games never really had great stories, but what we get in here is very lackluster in comparison.
いやー、あんたは強いぜ。次のキングはあんたで決まりだな。おっと、キングデュークを倒せればの話だがな。おっと、怒るなよ。俺は真実だけを言ってるだけさ。次の相手だ。
So this was one of the first few KOF games that I played a lot of back in the day, the very first one for me being KOF 99, so I have a good amount of experience and idea of what the series is really all about. And I have to say that while I do like the character designs of KOF in general, I always felt like their stories were very mediocre and just kind of meh, never really could get into them. But one thing I can't say about this game is that the music, the soundtrack in general, is on point. I actually like a lot of the tracks for all the different stages and some of the other themes for the characters. I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing too is that we do get to see a lot of classic KOF characters from like Art of Fighting or Fate of Fury that are included in here, but there's some noteworthy like additions that are just completely missing here. Like there's no Geese Howard, there's no Kim, and there's a bunch of others that we've seen in many other games, especially at the start of the series, that are just straight up not here. They were kind of alluded to, or they do make some sort of like cameos in the backgrounds, especially in other versions of the game, but as far as playable, they're just not here, and that kind of sucks because some of those characters are staples of the series. All of that being said, let's get into the gameplay because this is where I feel like a lot of things start to get a little crazy for this game. Especially if you're a fan of KOF or if you played a lot of the other games, this is where things start to get a little weird. So I've played a lot of KOF games, but even I struggled to enjoy playing Maximum Impact. While there are a lot of similarities between this and the rest of the series, things feel very different in here. There is a story and a versus mode, both of which are easy to jump into. They have single and team battles, but matches are normally just one-on-one. Every character has their arsenal of special moves and combos, but that's where things start to go off the rails. The whole game is practically dictated by you landing these long hit strings, while avoiding the ones that are launched by your opponent. Big combos can be devastating and followed up with extra attacks, which can either bounce you off the ground or hit someone that is already knocked down. These can be tough to execute, but the CPU is a menace with how easily it can do them. And if you think that's real bad, don't even get me started on the hitboxes and the balancing of attacks. Things can get real goofy and feel very tilted. Sometimes you'll totally demolish an opponent easily, and other times, you'll get bombarded with attacks from the CPU that seem almost unreal. There are certain characteristics about KOF games and SNK games in general that just make them feel different to play, especially when you compare them to games like Street Fighter. There's just like, the characters, when they move around, they feel a little bit more heavier. The execution needed to do special moves and combos needs to be more on point. It's stuff like that that makes those games, and especially even this game, feel different to play. However, there is one thing that everybody universally hates about SNK games and KOF games if you played a lot of them, and that's the difficulty spikes, because oh my god, Maximum Impact continues this tradition and it's still just as annoying as before. When you get towards the later sections of the story mode and you get towards that final battle with Duke, the game just starts to get really cheap, where the computer just starts doing all these different attacks to you that it really didn't do before. On top of that, the final battle with Duke is just so unbalanced and tilted out of your favor, it just becomes not fun to play. The thing about it is that this fight with Duke should not be this difficult. There's certain aspects and elements about that fight that just make it so annoying to play through. Duke, all of his attacks gets like super armor, where he just absorbs some of your attacks and you can't stagger him. He starts off the rounds with super meter and he has infinite super as far as I know. He just throws them out for free. They hit the entire screen, so you have to either block or just get hit by it, and he does so much damage. It's so ridiculous. Like, no other fight in the game is like that. And to be honest with you, the struggle and just the headache that you have to deal with throughout this fight makes a lot of the stuff that you get afterwards almost not worth it. It's just that annoying. Now, don't get me wrong. I like a challenge. I think a good challenge towards the later portion of a game is totally fine. But when there's certain elements about it which just feel borderline unfair or just like completely out of whack, it doesn't make that battle fun to play through. It just makes it annoying, it makes it frustrating, and I totally understand if people just rage quit right when they get to the end with the final battle with Duke. So after I say all of that, do you at least get something interesting or at least a good enough reward for going through all this stuff? I mean, are there some good, like, extra goodies in here for Maximum Impact? Well, to be honest, yes and no, kinda. Unfortunately, Maximum Impact is very slim with its extra features. There is a challenge mode and a time attack mode, but both of them are short-lived. The Xbox version of the game also had an online mode, but the PlayStation 2 version does not, so I can't really comment on it. Completing challenges can unlock costume variations and new stages, while Duke as a playable character unlocks when you finish the story mode with both Alba and Sori. There's also character profiles you unlock when you beat the game with any character. To me, this is shallow, because you don't get a lot from them. I wish the Unlockables included things like concept art or promos. SNK has a ton of great artwork from the KOF series, so to see none of that highlighted or shown off here is a real disappointment. So if I'm being honest here, my biggest issue with everything that I mentioned is the fact that we just don't have any more unlockable characters outside of Duke from the story mode. Yeah, it's cool, once you complete story mode with Alba and Sori, you get to play as the boss character, as much as it's annoying to deal with that. However, it would have been cool to see some of those other characters that make cameos in the background, or some of the ones that are just not on the main roster, be unlockable characters. I think that would be kind of cool because KOF has such a legacy of all these different and interesting stylish characters, and some of them that have been around for so long, they're just not in here. It would have been sweet to have them as a bonus unlockable. It would have really rounded out the package very nicely. With everything that I've mentioned, does this mean that it was a good spin-off for the series? Can I recommend that you play KOF Maximum Impact on any platform? My honest answer is no. The game has way too many issues that drag down the fighting, let alone the fun of playing through everything within it. And because this game is in an alternate timeline for the series, you're not really missing anything important if you decide to skip over it. You're better off playing any of the other mainline KOF games instead. You'll have a lot more fun than what you'll find in here.
Continue. Game over.
And there you go, everyone. Those are my thoughts about KOF Maximum Impact on the PlayStation 2. I know they have the Xbox version out there, but I played the PlayStation 2 more back in the day, so I felt that's the version that best represents my perspective on the game. And here's the thing, like, I don't want to see a bad game. Like, I respect the KOF series, I like Street Fighter a little bit more, but I always, like, admired what KOF did that was different than what we got from Street Fighter, and it kind of sucks to see a game that's just kind of mediocre compared to all these other games that are looked at as iconic fighting games that we've had in the past. But of course, like any other game that I review on this channel, that's just my opinion about KOF Maximum Impact. Let me know some of your thoughts about this game down below in the comment section. Tell me, are you a big KOF fan? Do you think Maximum Impact was actually good? What did you want to see from the series moving forward, especially now that we're starting to see other KOF games on modern consoles? Talk to me about that stuff down below in the comments section. Thanks for watching the video, everyone. I appreciate your support and I hope you enjoyed checking it out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and don't forget to leave me a like on this video and post a comment down below too. It helps out the channel a ton. You could also join my Discord server via the link in the description box to come be part of the community we have there. Whether you agree or disagree with me, come chat about games with everybody in there. It's a lot of fun people that I know you'll get a kick out of. Hope to see you again soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.